Hi, my name is Rachel Paxton, and today I'm going to show you how to can peaches. In this class I will show you how to can peaches. I'll lead you through the process step by step. I'll give you the recipe and the canning supply list so you can download it, print it out for future reference. You'll find those in your course materials. You'll also gain the confidence you need to try more canning recipes on your own. For this recipe you'll need approximately 17 pounds of peaches, 8 1/4 cups of water, and 3 3/4 cups of sugar. This will make 7 quarts of peaches. You'll need a boiling water canner, a canning rack if you're using your own stock pot, a jar lifter, a wide mouth funnel, and 7-quart canning jars. You'll need a boiling water canner. If you don't already have one, you can order one from Amazon for about $32. There's a link to this in your course materials and your supply list. You can also get them at Walmart. You can also use your own stock pot for boiling water canning, but you need a canning rack to put in the bottom of it. This is about $10. It comes with your boiling water canner, but you can buy it separately if you want to use your own stock pot for canning. You just need to make sure that your pot is tall enough to have 1 inch of water above your jars, and the canning rack keeps your jars from sitting on the bottom of the pan. You need a jar lifter for taking your jars in and out of the canner. You need a wide mouth funnel to make sure your food gets in your jars. First, fill your canner about 3/4 full with water and get it started heating on the stove. Want to sterilize your jars, rings, and lids in the dishwasher. You can also boil them in hot water on the stove, but it's easier to do it in the dishwasher. You want to make sure your jars are hot when you put your peaches in them. It's okay to reuse your jars and rings, but you need to have lids, so you need to have new lids every single time, so make sure you have enough lids. A lot of people like to use the wide mouth canning jars for canning peaches. It doesn't really make any difference. The wide mouth have a slightly wider mouth at the top than the regular mouth jars, and it's just easier to put the peaches in the wide mouth jar, so that's why some people like those better, but you can use either one. First you need to sort and wash your peaches. There's different kinds of peaches. There's different varieties of peaches, and you may have heard of clingstone and freestone peaches. I didn't know what this meant till a couple of years ago. You may not know what it means. Clingstone peaches are the kinds of peaches that where the fruit actually clings to the pit and it's really hard to get the fruit off the pit, and those are not great for canning. You can use them to make peach salsa and to make peach jam because you're just going to cut them up in little pieces anyway, so it doesn't matter what it looks like. But if you're canning slices or halves of peaches, you want them to look pretty in your jars, and they don't look pretty if you can't get the peach off the pit. So what you're looking for is freestone peaches. There's different kinds of freestone peaches. Usually when you go to an orchard or farmer's market, they will tell you which kinds of peaches are good for canning or not. So if you're not sure, make sure you ask if the peaches that you're getting are good for canning or not, or you might get home and get disappointed that they are not good for canning. I know if somebody gives you peaches, they may not be ideal for canning. You may have to use them for something else. So just be aware that there are different kinds of peaches. The easiest way to peel peaches is to boil them in hot water for about 30 seconds and then dunk them in cold or ice water for just a few seconds, and the peels will slide right off. Remove the peels and slice the peaches into quarters or eighths. You can also do halves if you like. I usually do eighths. If you have a lot of peaches to peel and slice, you're going to need something like Fruit Fresh or some other kind of ascorbic acid to prevent your peaches from browning. Peaches will brown when they are exposed to air for too long, so you need some kind of solution that will keep them from browning. Fruit Fresh is one of the things you can use. So if you put this in water and then put the peaches in the water, that will keep them fresh while you are getting all your other peaches peeled and sliced. After you get all your peaches sliced, you want to combine your sugar and water in a stock pot. The recipe that I gave you for the sugar and water is for a medium syrup. There's different kinds of syrup. There's light syrups, medium syrups, and heavy syrups. You can even can peaches in water. You don't have to put sugar in the water. It is best not to use a heavy syrup when you're canning peaches because it can make your peaches float to the top of your jars too much. You don't want that to happen, so you want to use a light or a medium syrup, and so this recipe is a medium syrup. You want to simmer your syrup until the sugar dissolves and starts boiling. After you're done with all your peeling, put your peaches in your jars and leave a little room at the top. Don't fill them all the way to the very top. Then you want to ladle your hot syrup in your jars, leaving a 1/2 inch head space. The head space is the amount of space between the top of the syrup and the top of the jar. You want to make sure you have enough space so that when your food is heated and expands that the jar won't break. So it's important to make sure you have the right amount of head space. You might want to make sure that you let your liquid settle in the jars. As you can see, there's some bubbles in the jar, so let it sit for a few minutes so that the liquid can trickle down. You may need to put some more liquid in the jars. If you run out of syrup, just make some more. You can cut the recipe in half if you don't want to make the 7 quarts, or you can double it if you're making more than that. So just make sure you keep the right ratio of sugar to water. Next, wipe the rims of the jars with a damp paper towel or dish towel so that you get a good seal on your jar. Place your rings and lids on your jars finger tight. Process your jars in the boiling water canner for 25 minutes. Make sure you have 1 inch of water above your jars. If you don't, put some more water in there and get it boiling again. Set the timer for 25 minutes. If you live above 1,000 feet in elevation, you'll need to process them for longer than 25 minutes. So check your altitude adjustment chart in your course materials for the correct time. After the time is up, use your jar lifter to remove your jars from the canner and set the jars on the kitchen counter to cool. Your jars will usually seal while they're in the canner, but it can take 10 to 15 minutes for them to seal when they come out. You should hear a pinging noise when they seal. If a jar does not seal, it can be refrigerated and eaten in the next couple weeks. Your sealed jars can be stored in a dark, cool area for 1 to 2 years or more. You can tell if your jars are sealed or not by pushing your finger down in the middle of the jar. And if it goes down and up again, it is not sealed, but if it's flat, it is sealed. Peaches are sometimes one of the things that people like to start doing when they start canning, and peaches do take a long time to can. It takes a while to peel them and slice them, so don't get frustrated if it takes too long to can your peaches. Not everything you can is going to take this long. Jam takes a lot less time to can than peaches. Pears are the other thing that take a long time to can because of the peeling. So it's best if you get together with family members or friends and do it together so that you can peel them and slice them in half the time. Even though it's a lot of work now, in the winter time, you're going to really appreciate your fresh peaches. The homegrown peaches or the peaches straight from the orchard are the best kind to get, and if you can enjoy them in the winter time, it's a real treat. So give them a try and see what you think.